I rise on behalf of the ACT Party to speak in support of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Export Licences Allocation Amendment Bill. Just to correct the previous speaker, an economic farm surplus of $2 a hectare is not going to make you a profit. It'll be pretty hard to make $2 a hectare. Yeah. Look, Madam Speaker, I think this is a very good bill. It may seem quite dull, technical. It's probably the first time in history in New Zealand that anything related to the dairy legislation has been called dull, but that probably shows how we've matured as a dairy industry in terms of our farmers' appreciation for this piece of legislation and the aspects to it. I think it's so important to New Zealand, as has been mentioned before, our dairy industry. It's our largest industry here in New Zealand. It is so vital to us, and trade in particular is so vital to the dairy industry. 95% of what we produce is exported. Now, over the years, we've managed to gain access across all parties to foreign markets, being able to get benefits from that. And often this access has come in the form of quotas of how much product we're allowed to put into those markets. Historically, that quota and how it was divvied up between the various companies, that was managed by the Dairy Board back in the day, and then through the dairy legislation that created the formation of Fonterra. This has obviously remained, as has been mentioned, unchanged since 2007, and obviously the industry in that time has changed markedly. As has been mentioned before, we now have a greater diversity of companies. We've got more different types of milk, sheep milk, goat milk, even deer milk on a few strange places. I definitely wouldn't want to milk them myself. And so we've got to move the legislation forward so that we respect these new emerging industries, give them opportunities. As has been mentioned before, the previous the current status quo legislation effectively just how much milk you produce, that's your share of the quota. We know that that's not a good way of going forward. It's not driving innovation. That's what we want to see. Companies that are thinking about how they can export more niche products, getting more value from the market. That is the key for success for the dairy industry going forward and for all these new innovative startups. It was mentioned Lewis Road Creamery, go back to 2007, every dairy company out there that was exporting was doing it because they had a supply base. That's another thing that's changed. We've got people that are exporting dairy products now. They don't have a supplier base. They may have a few farms of their own, but they're purchasing milk from others and they're turning it into products. So we've got to move the legislation forward to enable all of this to happen. And, it's a very good piece of legislation. It will help the dairy industry, and I commend this bill to the House.